Hi, welcome back. This is Tom Ray again, the program coordinator for the UNLV Gear Up program housed under UNLV The Center. We're here today to talk about goal setting. And like the other videos, it all ties together. So time management, study skills, it's all part of one big thing. And that's the success of your life. So goal setting is important only if you have a bigger purpose in life. So you have to find your mission, you have to find out why you're here. And if you don't, that's okay. Just be open to new experiences and consistently ask the question, why am I here? What is it for me that I have to do on Earth, and what is my mission here? Once you get closer to finding your why and finding your mission, goals become much more important to you. So today we're going to talk about two different types of goals. So for some of you who are very adventurous and really wanting to get ahead in life, you kind of already have your vision and your purpose. And what that might be would be to become a doctor, to become an actor, to be a business owner, to be popular, to be famous. Some other goals might be even smaller, but just as important. And these goals could be personal goals, such as getting married young, having a nice family, finding the love of your life. All of these are goals too. And it's hard because we have to balance all of our goals to meet our main objective and our purpose in life. So again, life is a process of discovery of who you are. And once you know that better, you can use these goals to support you on your future endeavors. So let's go on with the first system of goals. These goals are known as SMART goals. And why is it called SMART goals? Because once you have your vision of whether or not you want to be an actor, let's use that as an example actually. If you want to become an actor, then we can use the SMART goal to tackle that. So SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. So the reason why it's called SMART goals is because it sets you on a path to accomplish your goal in a smart way. So again, let's use our example of you wanting to become an actor. First, we want to have a specific goal that targets that dream. So what would the specific goal be? Well, it could be that, you want to find a local acting school that you can attend. Maybe if you're a student in high school, you still don't have money to pay for acting classes, but there's a lot of community resources that you can find where groups get together and they do impromptu acting or improv, and you might be able to join those groups to get a head start. There might be a club after school that you could join, and there might be theater classes that you can enroll in high school. So these are specific goals that you can set right now at your age, even though you don't have money to pay for classes. That's what a specific goal would be. You kind of have something to set you in motion. Now, after you set that goal of going to an improv class or of signing up for a theater class, we want to see how we measure our progress. So is that goal measurable? One way of measuring that might be that there's a lot of oohs and ums in your speech. And after the class, you want to measure how your confidence level is. So record yourself on video. You see that you have less uhs and ums when you're speaking. You have more confident in your shoulders, you stand up tall. That would be a measurable goal of your improvement. You can also ask for feedback from your friends, from your family members, and they might be able to tell you that, wow, like you have such a big difference in your personality, in your demeanor, since you started taking those improv classes. So that's how you measure your goal. You have to measure the specific goal that you set yourself to achieve. Now, you also want to set goals that are attainable, meaning that if you never took any acting classes and you decide that you want to become the next Brad Pitt or the next Angelina Jolie, and you want to go to LA to audition in some casting call, chances are you probably won't get called back unless you have a natural gift of persuading people or talking or acting. But most of our best actors, they have gone to acting school. So you want to set a goal that is attainable at where you are, and you will move up that ladder up and down from each goal to the next until you get to a goal that seems so crazy and so far out there, but that's because you put in the work to get to that high level. So you always want to be honest with yourself and know where it is that you're at so that you can set an obtainable goal. Next, your goal also has to be realistic. So that's also part of the attainable goal, because if you were going to move outside of Las Vegas, and let's say you were going to move to New York City, and if you set a goal that you're going to audition in LA a month from now, it might not be possible because you're not going to physically be there. So there may be physical limitations as well as geographic limitations. So again, your goal has to be realistic. Finally, the T stands for time bound. So you want to give yourself a deadline to accomplish this goal. For example, if you set a specific goal to join an improv class, you don't want to let that goal stay there forever, meaning that you just give yourself 5 years to join the improv class. Of course, you might eventually join it, but within 5 years, your interest might have changed. And also, you're not going at the pace that you're gonna be happy with, because by 5 years later, you're probably already expecting to be Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie. So in this example, we wanna set a good time frame to sign up. So that could be within 24 hours, within a week after you do your research. You need to set a deadline. Goals are most important with a deadline, because if you don't have a deadline, you don't have any goals. With all of this said, you can apply SMART goals to anything. So the best way to apply SMART goals is to put it into, again, a project management system. You need something like Trello, like Post-it notes, like Google Keep. You need something to basically put all of your goals and prioritize them to the goals that you want to accomplish. So you always want to kind of figure out what part or dimension of your life do these goals belong in. If it's a health goal, then maybe you have a certain subset of goals for health. If it's a fitness goal for exercising, if it's a social goal of making more friends, if it's a career goal of interning or volunteering for an organization. Again, every goal that you have should be a subset category of a larger life purpose. So make sure you have something to track your goals so they don't get lost in a void of endless to-dos. The next thing I want to talk about touches on the A and the R for the attainable and realistic part of the SMART goals. And this has to do with the stretch goals. The easy thing to remember about SMART and stretch goals is that they both begin with S, but both of them are very different. SMART goals are called SMART because they're realistic, they're obtainable, and they set you on the right course. But here's the problem with SMART goals. If you set so many small goals that they kind of don't lead you to the dream or the vision that you're trying to get to, then these goals might be wasted. For example, let's go back to our acting situation. Let's say your goal is to be Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie, but all of your goals are to join improv classes and to join meetup groups on how to act. And that's where all of your energy is invested for these goals. If you were to do this for the next 1 or 2 years, would you get closer to becoming Angelina Jolie or Brad Pitt? Maybe in terms of skill levels of acting, but you won't get there in terms of finding an agent to represent you. You might not be in a situation where you're in a location to get casting calls. So there's other goals that have to take you to that next level. So that's why stretch goals are involved, because they stretch you as a person. They go against the attainable and the realistic part of SMART goals. And what they do is they force you to have a big vision and to make goals that seem impossible. But if there's a 5 or 10% possibility of them actually happening, then you should do it, because that'll stretch you as a person and it'll take you outside of your comfort zone. The difference between a stretch goal and an impossible goal is that 5 to 10%. Whether or not you have a small chance of hitting it. A lot of students, they might think about going to the NBA or NFL, but realistically, it has to do with their skill level. So if you're the top student performing in varsity football or basketball or whatever sports it is that you have in your high school, then you actually have a good chance of making the NBA and NFL. You have that 5 or 10%. It's probably less, it might be 2%, but you have a shot. Now, if you are actually not in the football team or basketball team, and you set a stretch goal to join the NBA and NFL, but you're not having these small SMART goals of working out, of playing ball to get into the team, then the goal might actually be unattainable. So the problem with stretch goals is that you have to set a goal that is somewhat realistic, but it stretches you to your fullest potential. Now, what are the benefits of a stretch goal? One, they have your mindset expand, so you're always looking for amazing opportunities. There's no limit for your mind. It also builds on recent successes of your SMART goals to push you forward to bigger goals. The thing is, you also will be forced and stretched thin of utilizing your resources, time, and energy efficiently. And finally, you're going to be focused to do more with the little that you have. You'll be focused on thinking outside of the box. So how do you solve a problem? How do you utilize the resources that you have to make it happen. Now, stretch goals can also be detrimental. What is wrong with stretch goals? Well, one, it could be an insane challenge, meaning that, again, if you didn't make varsity football or basketball and you set the stretch goal to become the next Michael Jordan without any talent or skills, then it could be very overwhelming and cause an identity crisis. Also, it might force you to focus on your recent struggles. If you don't look at your recent successes and you look at your recent struggles, such as failing small SMART goals, the stretch goals again can overwhelm you. Much like the other pro of looking at the positive of limited resources and thinking outside of the box, you could also turn that into negative and start thinking of the lack of what you have and how you can't achieve the goal because you don't have enough support, resources, and things of that. And sometimes we might get so caught up on the end goal that we're obsessed with trying to get there, but we're not enjoying the journey and we're really not living life and being happy. So no matter what goal you set, you want to enjoy the experience. You want to grow and learn as you're going. If you're so constantly focused on the future, you can't be present and be grateful for what you have now. Focusing on the ends is also a detriment of a stretch goal because it causes insecurity when you're not focusing on the present to do the things that you need to get to the end goal, and you realize that you're not putting in enough SMART goals to get the stretch goal that you want. SMART goals ground you while stretch goals elevate you. The trick is to use both of them efficiently with balance. This concludes our video today on how to goal set and the different types of goals that you can use to better yourself. And like always, I'll see you on the next video. And thank you so much for taking time with me today to learn more about how to better your life.